Run your tongue along your teeth right now. Feel how they're crowded, fighting for space. That's not bad luck. That's not your parents' fault. Your mouth is literally too small for the teeth inside it, and the reason is a fire that started burning 2 million years ago. You're living with a face that hasn't finished changing. You were taught that cooking is just something humans do. A convenience, a habit, a nice way to make tough food taste better. But that's not the real story. The real story is far stranger, and it's written into the shape of your own skull. Because here's what almost nobody tells you. The single most important thing that made you human might not have been your intelligence, or your hands, or your language. It might have been a soft, warm meal. And to see why, you have to look at a change so violent and so fast that your teeth still haven't caught up to it. Let's start with a simple question. Why do you look so different from a chimpanzee? You share almost all of your DNA with them, but put a human skull next to a chimp skull, and the difference is obvious. The chimp has a huge, heavy jaw, enormous teeth, thick bone ridges to anchor powerful chewing muscles that run all the way up the sides of the skull. Their whole face is built like a grinding machine, because that's exactly what it is. A chimpanzee spends around 6 hours a day chewing, not eating, chewing. Grinding through tough, fibrous, raw plants that take enormous effort to break down. Their jaw is a full-time tool, working most of their waking life. Now look at your face. Small jaw, small teeth, a flat, delicate profile with almost none of that heavy machinery. You can chew your entire day's food in a fraction of the time. So what happened? Somewhere between that ancient ape and you, the grinding machine got dismantled. And the tool that dismantled it was fire. This is the idea proposed by a Harvard biological anthropologist named Richard Wrangham. He spent years studying wild chimpanzees, watching them chew for hours, and one evening, staring into his own fireplace, he had a thought that reframes the entire human story. What if cooking wasn't just something we invented after we became human? What if cooking is the thing that made us human in the first place? Here's the logic. When you cook food, you are doing something remarkable before you ever put it in your mouth. Heat breaks down the tough fibers in plants. It softens the connective tissue in meat. It unravels proteins and releases starches that a raw stomach would struggle to reach. In other words, cooking begins digestion outside the body. You are pre-digesting your food with fire, and that changes everything. Because a cooked meal gives you far more usable energy for far less work. You chew less, you digest less, you extract more. Think about that trade for a moment. Every other animal pays the full price of its food in chewing and gut labor. Your ancestors found a way to cheat. But cheating had consequences, and this is where your face comes in. Once food was soft and pre-digested, those massive jaws and grinding teeth were suddenly overbuilt. And evolution is ruthless about waste. Bone and muscle cost energy to grow and carry. So over generations, the jaws got smaller, the teeth got smaller, the heavy anchoring ridges on the skull shrank away. The face began to collapse inward, softening into the flatter, lighter shape you see in the mirror today. Your delicate face is not a sign of refinement, it's a sign of surrender. Your ancestors gave up the grinding machine because fire was doing the grinding for them. Now, here's where it gets even stranger, because the story isn't just about the face, it's about what all that saved energy paid for. There's an idea in anthropology called the expensive tissue hypothesis, proposed by researchers Leslie Aiello and Peter Wheeler. It starts with a brutal fact about your body. Your organs are not free. Two of the hungriest are your gut and your brain. Your gut, the long-coiled tube that digests everything you eat, burns a huge amount of energy just staying alive. And so does your brain. In fact, your brain, sitting there right now reading these words, is using around a fifth of all the energy your body produces. Here's the problem. A body has a limited energy budget. You can't just grow every expensive organ as big as you want. Something has to give. And the ape body spent its budget on a massive, powerful gut to wring calories out of raw, difficult food. But once cooking pre-digested that food, The gut no longer needed to be a giant industrial processor. It could shrink, and when it shrank, it freed up an enormous amount of energy in the body's budget. Energy that had been locked up in digestion was suddenly available for something else. And where did that freed up energy go? Into the one organ that could change the fate of the entire species. It went into the brain. Look at the timeline, and it's chilling how well it lines up. Around 1.8 million years ago, a new human ancestor appears in the fossil record, Homo erectus. And Homo erectus shows up with a startling combination of features all at once. Smaller teeth, smaller jaws, a smaller gut, judging by the narrower, less barrel-shaped ribcage, and a noticeably bigger brain. Smaller face, smaller gut, bigger brain, all arriving together. Exactly the pattern you'd expect if a richer, softer, pre-digested diet had suddenly rewritten the body's energy budget. The face and the gut paid the price. The brain collected the reward. Wrangham's argument is that this wasn't a coincidence, it was cause and effect. Cooking shrank the parts of you that processed food and used the savings to grow the part of you that thinks. The soft meal built the big brain. So the flattering story we tell ourselves, that we got smart and then invented cooking, might be exactly backwards. We may have started cooking, and that is what let us get smart. Your intelligence might be a side effect of dinner. Now, I want to be honest with you, because this is where a good story could quietly turn into a lie. This idea is not settled science. It's a powerful hypothesis, and it's also a contested one. Here's the crack in it. If cooking drove this transformation 1.8 million years ago, we should find evidence of controlled fire from back then. And we don't. Not clearly. The solid, undisputed archaeological evidence for humans reliably controlling fire only goes back around 800,000 years, maybe a million. That leaves a gap of hundreds of thousands of years between when the body changed and when we can prove anyone was cooking. That's a serious problem, and Wrangham's critics have hammered on it. Some argue the real driver wasn't fire at all. Maybe it was simply eating more meat, which is more calorie-dense than plants. Maybe it was pounding and mashing food with stone tools, a kind of cooking without heat that softened it enough to matter. The transformation of your face might have started with a rock, not a flame. So who's right? The honest answer is that we don't fully know yet. But notice something. Whether the tool was fire, or a sharpened stone, or a slab of raw meat, your ancestors found a way to process their food outside their bodies. And the moment they did, the grinding machine in their face became obsolete, and the savings flowed somewhere new. The fire is just the most dramatic version of a change that was going to happen one way or another. Your ancestors outsourced digestion, and their faces have been shrinking ever since. Which brings us, finally, back to your own mouth, and to the strangest piece of evidence of all. Because there's a catch to shrinking a face so fast. Your teeth didn't get the message in time. Here's the problem. Evolution shrank the jaw, but the number of teeth those jaws were designed to hold didn't shrink at the same speed. Your ancestors had room for a full set, including the third molars at the very back, the ones we now call wisdom teeth. Those teeth made sense in a big, powerful ape jaw. There was space, there was a job for them, but your jaw is smaller now. The renovation happened fast in evolutionary terms, and it happened to the bone. The teeth are lagging behind, so you're left with a full, ancient set of teeth trying to fit into a modern, shrunken mouth, and they don't fit. That's why so many people have crowded, crooked teeth. That's why braces are a multi-billion-dollar industry. And that's why your wisdom teeth so often come in sideways, jammed against their neighbors, or trapped in the bone entirely, unable to emerge. Some people are even born without wisdom teeth at all now, as if evolution is still mid-edit, quietly deleting the teeth there's no longer room for. Think about what that means. The pain in the back of your jaw, the surgery to remove teeth your mouth was never going to fit, is a direct echo of a fire lit almost 2 million years ago. Your ancestors traded a big face for a big brain and left you holding the bill. a jaw that shrank faster than the teeth inside it. An unfinished renovation, still settling inside your own skull. You are not a finished product. You are a species caught mid-change, wearing the evidence in your smile. So the next time you sit down to a warm, soft, cooked meal, understand what you're really doing. You're not just feeding yourself, you're performing the oldest trick our species ever learned, the one that reshaped our faces, grew our brains, and quietly rearranged the bones of everyone who would ever come after. Run your tongue along your teeth one more time. That crowding you feel isn't a flaw in you. It's a fingerprint left by fire, still pressing on your jaw 2 million years later, on a face that hasn't finished changing.